This might be the most controversial and innovative development to ever come to Kansas City. An entertainment district built on a 120-year-old railroad bridge suspended above the Kansas River. A few years ago, this was just an abandoned bridge suspended above the river. Most people would drive by it without giving it a second thought. But one guy looked at it and said, why don't we do something completely different? So today I'm bringing you an exclusive interview with Mike Zeller, the developer behind the project, to talk about how this went from concept to idea to one of the most ambitious developments in Kansas City's history. Mike Zeller, the brains behind the Rock Island Bridge. Take me back to the very, very beginning. Where was this idea born out of?
This idea wasn't really born. A much simpler idea was hatched 20 years ago or so, 2008. I was on a motorboat and we were going up and down the Missouri River looking at downtown Kansas City, Missouri from the water, which is really cool. And we thought, let's go up to Kansas. So we swung around, and as we got close to this bridge, we're looking at it, wondering what it was. I'd never seen it before. We could tell it's a railroad bridge, and then as we got closer, the tracks were missing, and we could tell, oh, it's an abandoned railroad bridge. And I said, God, look at that. Somebody ought to do something with that. Put a restaurant out there and call it Chicken on a Bridge. It was just a quip, throwaway line, but inside of that was an idea that a real beefy structure in the middle of a major metropolitan area over a river was a place that people would want to be.
2008. I mean, that's almost 20 years ago. So how did we get from then to now?
I'm a native Kansas City guy, and I was working at Kansas City Public Television, and for the next 8 or 10 years, I tried to get somebody else to do something with this bridge. Sly James, I talked about it so often to him, he called me Chicken Boy because of the chicken on a bridge thing.
And so you tried to pitch it to other people. At what point did you come to the realization that you were going to be the person to actually move this thing forward?
It didn't happen all at once, but there was a pivotal moment. It was on my 50th birthday. I led a troop of friends down to BB's Lawnside. A friend of mine, Dennis Strait, who was at Gould Evans, he gave me this card that said Mike Zeller's Chicken on a Bridge. And he, being an architect, he was managing partner, and I knew it was an outsider idea, and I had to ask myself, well, how come somebody else hasn't gone full in and built a full entertainment district on a bridge over a river? But I think having that validation gave me the confidence to start chasing this crazy idea.
So what in particular stood out about this bridge, though? Because there are a lot of bridges.
Oh, what stood out about this bridge? It's beefy.
Yeah.
It's very robust. It's built to carry 3 million pounds of live load, meaning moving load.
And this bridge itself used to haul trains.
Yeah, right? This is a railroad bridge built by the Rock Island Railroad in 1905. We're in the heart of what was the Kansas City Stockyards, which was kind of like the automobile industry for Detroit. It really is the catalyst for the early Kansas City economy. Yeah. And this bridge, built in 1905 with Carnegie Steel before the U.S. Steel roll-up, was used to shuttle cattle back and forth to both sides of the river because the stockyards were on both sides of the Kansas River. It was built by the Rock Island Railroad, and that railroad went out of business in the 60s. So the bridge just sat here. It was benign neglect, forgotten for about another 40 years until somebody looked up and said, somebody ought to put Chicken on a Bridge up. When I first started knocking at the door of Kansas City, Missouri, the owner of the bridge, staff had rolled over several times since 1980. They struggled to get their head around the fact that they owned a bridge in another state. So we had to get the city manager, Troy Schulte, involved, and he came down and took a look at it and realized, hey, let's help these guys, turn a sow's ear into a purse. What's the expression? Within about a month, we had a lease, a 50-year lease on the bridge at the cost that the city paid every 2 years to have the bridge inspected, just to cover their costs.
Wow.
Now later, when we got into a partnership with Kansas City, Kansas, because they needed this trail across the bridge to connect their levee tops on both sides, they wanted to own the bridge. Yeah. So Kansas City, Kansas, the unified government's our landlord.
Yeah. What is this crest?
This is the American Royal symbol, and the top deck hall is called American Royal Hall. We share common parentage with the American Royal, both being born out of the stockyards. You can see the structure here is cantilevered out on both sides. We're treating a bridge like land, and we've built more land. You can see how far it goes out, about 19 feet on that side and about 14 feet on this side. We've taken it double-decker up top. About 35,000 square feet of usable space now on the bridge.
Wow. What was probably the biggest engineering challenge that you faced with adding more land suspended over a river?
Surprisingly, the cantilever part wasn't that hard. It was figuring out how far or not how far to take them out. What's the sweet spot? And I'm pleased with where we landed. The hardest engineering part has been about bringing utilities on and sewage off the bridge.
Oh, because that's something that you don't really think about when you start designing something like this. It's like, oh yeah, we're gonna have restrooms and a full functioning kitchen up here. When we had lunch a year ago or so, you were talking about the sewage issue in particular during the winter and the pipes freezing. So what was that particular solution for that problem?
These big pipes are hanging off the south side of the bridge and they're heat traced. They're wrapped with electric wires that get warm when it's cold outside. And then they're insulated, and then there's an aluminum jacket on the outside to protect it all. But it still gets too cold in January and February, so we got to drain the whole system down and shut the bridge down then. It'll still be open as a public crossing though.
This is a pretty cool view.
Yeah, it is. That's the Kansas City Terminal Railway Bridge. It's 2 tracks on the top, 2 on the bottom. I've seen 3 trains on that bridge at the same time. You know, with this project, it's kind of like building an airplane while we're taxiing down the runway for takeoff. We're having to figure out how you build an entertainment district on a bridge. We had a pretty good starter plan to begin with, but we had to make a lot of tweaks along the way, which cost us time and money because there's no template for this thing. We're making it all up.
Yeah. I know you've traveled to like Prague and Munich, right?
Yeah.
And you've seen some of the infrastructure that they've kind of redeveloped over there. How much of that played a role in the vision for this?
International travel, it just gave me a little bit of perspective. I never saw anything exactly like this, but it put me more in a frame of mind of reinvention. When you go to older parts of the world where they just have a lot of old stuff around, they're reinventing it. And often reinvented places are more interesting because it forces you to be creative.
Yeah, I would say that this is pretty damn creative. So
yeah, people are going to have
you hit
fun
the mark
here.
on that one. Yeah.
Well, thank you.
How do you see this activating the river in the next 5 to 10 years?
You know, there's that old saying, energy follows attention. And a challenge we've had with our rivers is there's no attention on them because we were cut off from the rivers early on. We're a huge fan of what's happening in Berkeley Park. That's putting a lot of attention on the Missouri River. And we're going to have 500,000-600,000 people down here a year looking at the Kansas River. And we know things are going to happen from that. It's like what First Fridays did for the Crossroads. Other stuff will happen because of this.
This is going to play a pretty big role in connecting the Green Line loop, right?
This bridge is a multi-purpose facility, and it's really doing 3 things. It's a public crossing with trailhead services. There's 16 bathrooms on this bridge. There's a water fountain. There's open public seating. People are welcome to come out here. It's like a steel park over a river. It's also a public gathering space. The West Truss is open for all kinds of collaborative partnerships with farmers markets and other groups like that we're lining up now. And then the third thing is it's an entertainment district. This double-decker space on the central truss has 5 buildings, full commercial kitchen, catering room, public restrooms, 2 giant bars, and a seated dining area called the River House. The bridge has 5 buildings on it, but there's also 2 large enclosed areas. There's American Royal Hall and there's River House Restaurant downstairs. We're putting the final touches on that now. In January and February, when the services are on the bridge are closed because it's too cold, the bridge will still open every day and shut down every night as a public crossing. It's a vital link in the Kansas Levee Trail system on both sides of the river, and it's also an official trailhead on the new Green Line that's emerging around downtown Kansas City, Missouri. Yeah, this is a great story. This is a lift gate that was installed after the flood of '51. After the flood, the Corps paid a local KCK company, our general contractor, LG Barkas, to come out and to install these lift gates. And there was a motor that sat up top. It's like a watch, and it's just a gear reduction set that spreads out the work to lift these 3 trusses, pieces of the bridge, one at a time in advance of high waters. And it fell into disrepair by the 60s and 70s. And it just sat there for another 60 or 70 years until the same company came back, oiled up the gears, and ran the bridge up a final 4 feet. So it's really impossible for this bridge to flood now.
So, and that came while you guys had already started on the project.
That was a little surprise that came along the way. Got to raise the bridge.
Right. This view right here is incredible. Seeing all the steel. Yeah. I mean, this is as much exposure to the bridge that I've gotten since I've been on it. It's beautiful.
It's 100 yards long. So you think about how hard Mahomes has to work to cover 100 yards. We got 2 of these.
Wow.
The central truss is this same thing with the deck and the buildings suspended within it. And then there's that 3rd baby truss on the east side. So altogether, it's 700 feet long. This thing is massive.
It's one thing to look at renderings and videos, to be on it. It is absolutely massive.
There's just so much fun that you can have on a bridge over a river. You know, I didn't start out as a developer. A friend of mine was laughing at me last summer. We were out here having some beers. He said, so let me get this straight. You're a guy that's never built anything other than I paid a guy to build a home edition, who's trying to build something that's never been built, and you're starting with no money. Some pretty great Kansas City companies volunteered a lot of energy. For example, Lathrop GPN did all of the legal work for this bridge pro bono.
Wow.
Massive donation. I give them a call to say what's going on and thank them. They're like, oh, we all just want to live in a city where we can have a beer and eat chicken on a bridge.
I love that.
Yeah.
So it sounds like there were just a lot of people who believed in this project.
Hundreds of people pulled this thing across the finish line.
Wow.
Kyle, this is a real barn raising effort by the people of Kansas City. Everything you see out here, the ideas, the construction, the money for it, the programming that's going to happen on the bridge is all from Kansas City and will be a celebration of our city.
I love it. Cool. All right, well, let's go check out the upstairs. Okay, so this did not exist.
No, correct. We are standing about 13 feet above where the railroad tracks ran below. This double-decker came out of the need to create a space that people weren't walking through. This top deck event space will hold about 350 people, maybe 225 seated. On a Wednesday afternoon, if there's demand, we'll have servers up here making coffee, selling you a beer, that kind of stuff. But on Friday night to come up, you got to have a ticket because there's a concert up here. Or Saturday night, maybe there's a wedding. But Sunday morning, maybe a UMKC professor giving a lecture with slides on the history of the flood of '51 in the Stockyards District.
So tell me about this particular map here.
Well, we found this down at the Missouri Valley Room in the Central Library, and it's a blueprint of the Stockyards District, the West Bottoms. And if you look at the date down the corner, 1894. You think about what Kansas City was then. It was a cow town. You know, there was
This was the city.
This was down in the West Bottoms here, And if you look close, that's the precursor bridge to this one. It was washed out in the flood of 1903.
No way.
And so this is the replacement bridge.
What a cool piece of history to live on this bridge.
We had to put these lower cane detectors in here for people with that struggle to see so they don't hit their heads. And then we thought, well, let's go ahead and bring it on up and then put this nice wood on top, and it turned into this great banquette.
Yeah, well, I mean, one of the things that I'm noticing is just the amount of gathering spaces. Like, this is so intentional and cool to incorporate this into a place where you could just, to your point, sit down with a beverage.
It's about reinvention.
Yeah.
And allowing the happy accidents to go forward and embracing them, turning the solving of a safety issue into something positive. And you talked about this bridge, people will come together. We're right here at the state line between Kansas and Missouri. Joe Reardon came out here years ago. He says, oh, this is the handshake between Kansas and Missouri. This is where our whole metro can come together to celebrate our big wins.
What a cool way to bridge the gap, if you will.
I think this might be the longest bar in Kansas City. It's nearly 60 feet long. In the spirit of reinvention, we took there was 1,400 feet of steel railroad track that was on the bridge.
This is a railroad track.
Yeah, 1905 steel, and we wondered for a while what to do with it, and then we decided that'd be a good thing to rest your foot on.
So cool.
Yeah.
Wow, I love the reuse of.
Yeah, creative reinvention.
Yeah, that's so cool. Love that.
There's a big word for this kind of project. It's called infrastructure renewal. And the High Line in New York City, the elevated walkway on an elevated railroad track, is probably the most famous example in the U.S. They formed a network of the top infrastructure renewal projects in U.S., Canada, and Mexico, and they invited us to join. And they're intrigued by this bridge project because it's so replicable. You know, we're long on abandoned railroad bridges in the United States.
Yeah.
And so we're looking at taking this to other cities and working with local communities in other places to figure out what's the best solution for them.
Well, and how cool for something like that to originate right here in Kansas City.
Another Kansas City innovation.
Love that.
We're standing about 15 feet outside of the bridge. That's the edge of the bridge. We would be up in space about 60 feet over the river with nothing under us 3 years ago. The carpenter whose team installed the doors and other stuff, his daughter's going to get married in here.
Is that the
Friday
first
night.
wedding?
That will be the first wedding on
Very
the bridge.
For a long time, we've turned our back on the rivers, but it is such a vital asset to Kansas City that's been so underutilized. And so how cool for something like this particular project to start, you know, the domino effect of that activation. I love
Yeah,
that.
this is a catalyst project.
The entire structure of the upper end of the bridge is in here with us.
Yeah, we're in the barrel of the bridge right now.
Wow.
This is the Rock Island Bridge. It was pretty narrow.
Yeah.
You see why we needed to make more land with these cantilevers and
So
take it off to the
everything
side.
off to the side
Yeah.
wasn't there before.
That's all new land.
just
We're trying to
absolutely
just not interfere with the bridge. We're
Yeah.
creating comfortable amenities like on land, but we're not going to paint the bridge white or do anything silly like that because it's a beautiful structure.
It is a beautiful structure.
Rock Island Bridge is kind of like a ship.
Yeah.
And when we were designing it, we intentionally thought about ships because they're really good at using space in tight ways.
Yeah.
And we followed that model.
Well, and you're on the water.
We're on the water,
You know.
and it even kind of looks like a ship.
Yeah. I've never seen anything like this before. It's kind of hard for your brain to kind of conceptualize.
People are very disoriented when they come out here
Yeah.
because it feels like you're on land, yet you're on a bridge over a river.
Right.
It's hard to get your head around.
The River House, we wanted to make it a destination restaurant in Kansas City. And as we're standing out here in front of the beautiful city and water here, we thought that we really needed to bring that type of energy to the menu. So I got to thinking about what it's like when you're at the lake house on the dock or at the coast on the beach or at a campfire or a picnic. And so we came up with a couple taglines of Midwest Lake House meets Coastal Smokehouse. On the other side of the restaurant over here are some walk-up windows. Out in the garden area in the truss and at the window there's going to be QR codes and a menu over here. And it's a little more grab some lunch with the stroller, with the kids, whatever, walk around the bridge, have some snacks and enjoy it. Love that.
Yeah, that's going to be your quick serve, grab it, walk around. River House is going to be full serve, full wait staff. We're going to start taking reservations, all that. It was really important to us to give the restaurant its own identity on the bridge, right?
Yeah.
We want you coming back, obviously, for the views and the bridge, but also because of the menu, right? Amazing to see it all come to life. We've been on the project for about 1.5 years. Obviously, you've talked to Zeller. There's been some ups and downs on it, and we're so excited to be on the finish line. We're just putting on the final touches.
So, Mike, thank you so much for giving us this tour. I know it's not completely done and ready, but it looks absolutely incredible. And I can't wait to spend more time out here. And
Thanks,
see how
Kyle.
it's
It's good to have you here before we pop the cork. We're still putting some final finishing touches on, setting the furniture, but it's good to go.
awesome. Well, we appreciate you having
Yeah.
us out.
Thanks
Cool.
for being here.
Well, I've been talking about this project for what seems like forever, but it's really just been a couple of years on my channel, and it's absolutely incredible to actually be on it and get to experience it. So if you're thinking about moving to maybe the West Bottoms or somewhere around Kansas City, or maybe you're relocating here and you are looking for the right team, we would love to help. Go ahead and reach out at movingtokc.net/info. And if you want to know about some other projects that are going on around the metro, be sure to check out this video here. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.